Welcome back to the Moisture Farm, everybody. Today, I've got a special one for you. We've got some live Twin Suns gameplay. I know that's not the most talked about format of this game, obviously. We're in the competitive season, so we're talking about PQs and Premier format. But I know that there's really not a lot of Twin Suns stuff out there, and I know that there's a lot of people interested in the format. So I got some of my local guys together, recorded some gameplay. It's a bit of a long one, so get comfy, grab a beverage, a snack, and we'll dive right into it. I won't spend a ton of time talking about the deck, but I'll have it up here, talk about some of the cards a little bit. Before we dive into that, talking about Twin Suns as a format, what are the differences? Well, the first one is single copies of cards only. So it's one-offs of every card, and it's as of the making of this video, it's a 50 card minimum. Once Jump to Lightspeed comes out, I believe it's jumping up to 80 cards. So one-offs, 50 card minimum. You have two leaders that must share the same hero or villain aspect. So as you can see, I'm rocking Saxon and Tarkin. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. And the format of the game allows it's more of a multiplayer, meaning more than two player, typically four. Our gameplay today is going to be 4-player Twin Suns, and you'll notice right here we've got some different looking symbols right here. So there are actually 3 counters to claim in Twin Suns. We all are familiar with initiative and how that works. There is also plan. So these are counters that you can claim rather than claiming initiative. So if you claim plan, it's similar to initiative in the sense that it ends your phase. You'll take no more actions for the rest of the phase. When you claim plan, you are able to draw a card, and then you must put one at the bottom of your deck. So it's just a little bit of hand filtering. And then this one is blast. So when you claim blast, each other opponent takes 1 damage on their base. So it kind of speeds the game up a little bit. And you still have 1 base. It can be any color like normal. For example, so it's just the leaders that need to have the matching hero or villainy traits or aspects. If I were to go to a blue base, I could play double blue aspect cards for their printed cost, and same with green. So it does have implications on the cards you can play in your deck still. So this deck, we got Saxon and Tarkin, really fun combo. Obviously, Tarkin, we pay 1 to give Imperial units experience tokens, and with Saxon, each friendly upgraded unit gets +1/+0. So essentially, every time I'm throwing out an experience token to an unupgraded unit, rather than getting a 1/1 experience token, it's really getting a 2/1, which opens the door for a lot of fun with your units in this deck. So I have some upgrades. I really am mostly relying on this upgrade from Tarkin. I do play some other upgrades in here. Smuggling compartment for space units with some extra help and resources is always nice. Snapshot reflexes is good, especially with our good friend Lurking Tie here. Snapshot reflexes is nice because it protects it from this card, make an opening. This right here is a bit of a slept on card in this deck. Calculated lethality. I'll scroll in a little bit so you can see it. Defeat a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less. For each upgrade that was on that unit, give an experience token to a friendly unit. This opens up some crazy situations in your deck. I have played games with this deck where I have defeated something that got wing leadered, and then turned this little 1-drop tie into like a 7/5 with all those experience tokens, ones that I've thrown on myself, and then the buff from Saxon. We've got Devotion in there. That's always a good one. Search Your Feelings is kind of a card that's not really played in Premier, but figured why not, especially once the deck sizes go up to 80. This will be a nice card to have in there. One thing I've noticed about the Twin Suns format is like this, your top end of the curve is rough to get to, and a lot of it is because we're all taking at least 1 damage on base each phase. But otherwise, it's just, it speeds up the game. And once you start getting to these resource turns, somebody is within the vicinity of getting eliminated. So it's very interesting. Your early and mid game is much more important than the top end of your curve, from what I've noticed. I'll talk a little bit more about Twin Suns as we go along with the gameplay. But for the sake of how long the game actually is, let's go ahead and just jump right in. I'm just going to let the footage roll. This is going to be a long video. I'll skip when I need to. So obviously we've talked about my deck over here. Both decks across from me are leaders Krennic and Inquisitor. And those of you who have played Twin Suns you're probably familiar with that combo in Twin Suns. It's pretty gnarly when they're both on, when they're both flipped at the same time. It can get pretty nasty. Ryan's running green base over here, and we've got Mike running double red aspect with it, actually. And then we've got Matt down here running Obi, Han, and green base. So we are rolling for initiative here, or I guess Matt already has initiative. I should be paying attention better. Scout Bike Pursuer going down turn 1. Not bad. Throw some upgrades on that. It's a grit unit, so that can start looking real scary for us. Seasoned Shore Trooper coming down for Ryan, and Inferno 4 coming down. Nice turn 1 there. And the thing with those Inquisitor decks is that these phases go a little bit longer because they're playing that unit, and it's almost always getting readied up if they can. So one thing about Twin Suns too, there's no soft passing. So if you have an action to take, you must take it. Now that doesn't mean you have to play. You don't have to play, a card, like absolutely have to play a card. But if you have no actions to take, like if you can't play a card, if you can't use a epic action or a leader ability, you do have to claim one of the emblems, either initiative, plan, or blast. So I believe I planned starting out. So I did a little bit of deck filtering. That was my second hand, so like I drew and mulliganed, and so I wanted to plan and kind of filter my hand a little bit more because I still didn't like it. You can kind of see I've got the TIE Vanguard in my hand right now, which maybe I should just claim initiative because that is a strong play for us. One thing about Twin Suns too, and you'll see as the game develops, like 2 mechanics that I think are what I would say are the most important now that I've played a couple of games of Twin Suns: Restore and Sentinels are huge, absolutely huge in determining who wins these games. The end game is a little tricky too, and we'll get there when we get there. So Matt's gonna sacrifice the Dispatcher to get rid of that Stormtrooper, and I'll go ahead and drop my Vanguard. So Scout Bike Pursuer is getting the experience token and an additional +1 bump from Gar Saxon. Ryan's gonna pull out the mission briefing, draw a couple cards, which is that's not bad in Twin Suns. Having card advantage can be really strong. An important thing about my deck too, and another thing that makes it so fun, is Gar Saxon does have that important Imperial trait tag on him. So when my leaders are out at the same time, I can, swing Tarkin, put the token on Saxon, and turn him into a 6/8 right away. So Mike's coming after my TIE Vanguard. Got some ramp going on with Matt playing Spark of Hope. And, talking some smack to Mike about taking out my Vanguard. I got it. Now I just got to throw that token onto the Scout Bike Pursuer, make them a little bigger, Got to do it. So now that Scout Bike Pursuer is a 4, 5, 6. So, with grit, by the way. So that is the thing about this deck that, the Tarkin Saxon combo, you get big units really quickly, and so you kind of become a target. You kind of have to live with that.
Yep.
So Matt's going to plan right here, filter his hand a little bit. And, some of you that have played 4-player TCGs before know that there's a lot of politics that take place. So that's where I'm trying to figure things out right here.
40 your base, Mike.
Decide to dish it out to Mike's base, kind of balance out the base damage on the board a little bit.
Can't be the only one up here with 4.
Yeah, he just said I can't be the only one up here with 4. So Matt also has an interesting combo. I didn't really talk a lot about it, but with Han 2, he's cheating stuff out for 1 resource cheaper at the cost of dealing 2 damage. But he's got Obi-Wan there that can mitigate half of that damage, can heal 1 off. So kind of a cool combo that Matt's working out over there as well. And he's playing green, so he's ramping also. One thing that you may have noticed about my deck that I'm sure some of you were already screaming when you looked at the deck list is I do not have a Darksaber in there. And the only reason I don't have a Darksaber in there is because I have 1, and it stays in my Sabine deck. Even so, because cards just have to be 1 off, it's, it can be tough to see that card. Especially once we go up to 80, it's going to be hard to see certain cards. So Mike up there is going pretty wide with his board. Just dropped in a wolf. So an interesting card to play into his own deck because of Krennic being out there. But he's going wide. He's got the strongest board out there right now. He's got that 0/3 raid 2 unit that is damaged, so he's got an extra raid on there as well, and then the Krennic buff. So crazy combos going on there. Childson's coming down. I love when people play Childson against me, because if I have that calculated lethality, boom, all those coming up, stealing those XP tokens, putting it on my stuff. But alas, I don't think I have that card in my hand. I wish. We're on 4 resources now. The thing that I love about this deck is that I'm not super worried about playing on curve. I can play 2 drops and 3 drops in this phase and curve up with my upgrades, especially because they're 2/1s instead of 1/1s. So Matt's going to drop the Aether Sprite, get rid of the Inferno 4, have the only unit in space right now. As you can kind of see in the corner of my hand, I've got a Lurking Tie, which I love Lurking Tie, but if, when you have 3 other players that have potentials to answer in space, and that card is already just kind of a target, it can be tough to position that card, which is why I'm trying to figure out what my play is. Do I swing something? Do I drop a card and upgrade it? Childson's nice and big. It's tough. So I'm gonna try and, it's a little early in the game to be dropping sentinels. As I said, sentinels are actually pretty important in this format. But felt like protecting. We got a sentinel over there. I'll protect my scout bike pursuer a little bit. Drop a sentinel. So Ryan's gonna claim blast. All the other 3 players are gonna put that damage on our base. And Ryan seemingly tapped out playing Chilton this phase. I suppose he could ready with Inquisitor, but no reason to put that damage on your Sentinel. You want those guys to stay nice and healthy. Tough spot to be in. I will say, well, I'm pleasantly surprised with how I was able to hit this camera angle, and I was able to get a nice little overview. Action. It's not perfect, but I was worried about that when we were putting this together. I'll slap the Tarkin upgrade on my cell block guard. Mike, if he had anticipated that a little bit, probably would have just taken out my cell block guard, but he decides to deal that saboteur damage to Ryan's base instead. So now my cell block guard is a 5/4, just like that. It's like I said, there's fun shenanigans that take place with these leaders. So, and one thing I've noticed about this format, at least in the games that I've played, I've heard a lot of people complain that, it really opens up for people to just pick on somebody and target them, and I'll explain more about that once we start getting to the end game. But in almost every Twin Suns game I've played, everyone is trying to kind of reach the end at the same time. We spread the damage across bases pretty well, and it's not something that I'm actually very worried about. So he's going to put 3 damage into the cell block guard. Understandable.
Yeah. Or no.
We're on the 4 resource turns, so we'll see some leaders start to flip next phase, which does inevitably prolong the length of each phase. Just that many more actions for each player to take.
Mike's space.
So spreading the love a little bit with base damage, making sure Mike keeps up with us a little bit. Actually, I guess that kind of puts him ahead. I think Ryan's dice say 8. That might be a 5. I can't really tell. Mike is going to drop the repair, but I think once we realize Wolf has attacked this phase, so that event is going to be useless. Did it to his own self. So he'll rethink that play a little bit.
You have to claim initiative.
Okay, I'll claim initiative.
Okay.
So yeah, once we sort of get to the end of phases, different one of those counters will be claimed, initiative, blast, and plan. So once you become that third player ready to claim, you end up just having to take the last one available, and then the fourth player just has to pass. So, which I kind of like how that works out. If you're taking the most actions, you end up with the least amount of mechanical advantage in the game. So, drawing a couple more cards here. I've got that maximum power in my hand, which is a card that I would not put in any competitive premier deck, but it's a nice removal card for Twin Suns. Same with calculated lethality. A lot of those removal cards that come out that are kind of considerable in draft and sealed, or just otherwise but otherwise not great. Because everything in Twin Suns is one-off and you need kind of a group of removal cards, stuff like maximum power and calculated lethality kind of make their way in, which is cool. I like that there's a format that we see more cards played. So Mike is going after me, taking out the cell block guard with the gunship. And Matt is pointing out that, as we know here on the Moisture Farm, that is not my favorite card to be up against.
I just put a death mark on myself.
You might have. You might have.
Yeah, Mike has just come to the realization that he's pissed me off, which he has a little bit. But now I've got 2 space units that I'm worried about bumping into Lurking Tie, and I don't like that. It's rather upsetting. I should have probably resourced it at this point, but you know. So yeah, now we're on 5. I've got the Tarkin flip going on, and you know what? I say screw it. That Scout Bike Pursuer is just gonna get beefy. To hell with it. Yeah, leave me the hell alone. Putting the Vader's lightsaber on Childson, giving it a little bump on the back end, but a big bump on the front end. And cool thing about the gunship in this deck is he can ready it up. It's a grit unit, so it comes in, takes something down, and then GI can untap it and make it bigger. And then he's got the Krennic buff on top of that. I'm telling you, those leaders combo together so well in this format. Pretty gnarly.
You want to heal your base first? Oh, you can.
I can still. Oh, no, I can't anymore now.
Mike's deliberating what his move is. He's got Wolf to swing. He can ready up the gunship. He's on the Krennic flip now also. He's teasing that Wolf damage. Throws it into Ryan's base with that Saboteur. Which, you know, I like that. I like the fact that someone's getting in and putting pressure on Ryan's base without dealing with Chilton. Matt's going to come down and play the Fell the Dragon on the Chilton. Absolute crusher for Ryan.
I was like, I hope somebody doesn't have a spell to just kill.
Absolute crusher. And I'll go ahead and flip my Tarkin now that there's only...
I want to use it for that.
I guess Ryan's got 3 resources up. Matt's got 2, so not super worried about anyone sniping any of my plays. Del Miko comes out, which is fun for everybody because now all of our events cost 1 more. And it's a restore unit. And as I said previously, restore gets pretty gnarly. And, you know, we are in the mid game here, but I'll go ahead and start talking about the late game a little bit, how this looks. So...
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, Mike's figuring out if he wants to... I was just making sure he puts the right damage into the gunship. So how this game works is a little different than other TCGs in this kind of format. So once one player is eliminated, it kind of starts the timer because the game will end at the end of that phase that the player is eliminated. So, for example, if I were to, you know, take out Matt right now, then Matt would be obviously eliminated, so he'd be out of the game. And then me, Ryan, and Mike would be completing actions until the end of the phase. And at the end of the phase, the player that has the least amount of damage done to their base wins. And on top of that, the real kicker is that the player who is eliminating the other player, so in this scenario, it'd be, if it was me eliminating Matt, I heal 5 off my base. So I get the advantage of potentially going underneath my other opponents in base damage and position myself to win the game, depending on where our base damage is at. So once we start getting to the late game, you'll start to see us paying a lot of attention to our base damage. And this is another reason why Krennic and GI are so good in this format, is because GI can ready up Krennic multiple times. And not only are you just swinging in with Krennic, but you can restore like 4 to 6 damage, in one phase with Krennic. So those restore units also kind of become targets because if you can create that gap in base health you become much more likely to win the game. So Matt's taking some on the chin with the gunship. He's making a move, deciding which leaders he wants to send out. Han comes out. I've got my Scout Bike Pursuer. So let's see, where is he at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is it? 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 8 with grit. Just an absolute beast. And I haven't done anything with him really. I'm looking for a good target to use that maximum firepower on. I've got both of those spaceships tapped out, so I know Lurking Tie would survive at least a phase if I brought it out, but it's not a great look for me. Not particularly great. And a No Good to Me Dead, which I probably wouldn't play until like late game anyways. So I'm just putting damage on base with the Scout Bike Pursuer, not trying to get greedy with that grit to make him any bigger. Feeling like it's a bit of a beast itself. I don't need to decrease its HP. You know, the grit is kind of just like win more at this point. Ryan's trying to figure out what to do with Del Mico here. Knows he wants to swing it somewhere and get a little restore. Can't really trade into anything, but I'll tack it onto my base. So around the board now, we've got 11 for Ryan. I believe that's 14, maybe 16 for Mike up there, 14 for Matt, and 11 for myself. So like I said, like, and this is most games of Twin Suns that I play. They stay neck and neck most, like, throughout mid-game for sure. Han's going to bring out Yularen. So it's going to add +1 on the butt to all of his units, which is a nice play. And I decided to bring out the Lurking Tie. I know there's definitely threats in space, but we'll make him deal with it. Ryan is going to blast, so we're all going to take some base damage there.
I've done that so many times.
And if you're playing like a blue deck that's got restore going on, claiming blast even further separates that gap between you and everybody else. I'm going to plan here, filter my hand. Got a Gideon Hask coming down. That's a big unit in this format. Gideon, as we all know, gets an experience token when an opponent's unit is defeated. So I have 3 opponents all trading into each other. So every time an enemy unit dies, Gideon's getting bigger, and then obviously the first time he gets that token, it's a 2-1. So Gideon can become an absolute beast if I can get him out. Obi-Wan, I did this showdown with Obi-Wan. We love being able to throw damage around, and it's even better. The use case is even better in Twin Suns because there's just more things to throw damage around. You can even there's just more targets, more things to throw around. So we had all claimed Matt was the last one left, had a couple actions left, got all of his leaders out. With that spark of hope, he was 1 resource ahead of all of us, so he's got his 5 resource leader and his 6 resource leader already out on the floor. 4/7 Sentinel on ground, got the Aether Sprite in space. His board is definitely looking nice. And, by the way, they all have an extra 1 on the butt. So, strong board presence over there. My board, not looking so bad. I mean, Lurking Tie is just kind of at the mercy. I know Mike's got initiative, so my Lurking Tie is definitely vulnerable. Scout Bike Pursuer is just a tank, just for fun. I got the Gideon out. I've got the Incinerator Trooper is actually a cool card if you can get it going. It's kind of becomes a target. You know, that first token turns it into a 4/3 that deals damage before its opponent, so it can survive combat. That thing can just get gnarly.
Cost more?
One more, yeah.
Delmico's out. Mike's reminding us about the Delmico tax. Not a fan of that. Mike still has both leaders
You can blow 'em.
uh,
I'll do us a favor
not deployed.
and get rid of that guy.
Pay 2 for a daring ray.
Pays 2 for the daring ray to get rid of Delmico. Big respect. Big respect. We love that.
Don't do it,
Paying 2 for 2 damage.
man. Don't do it.
Okay.
Don't do it,
He's
man.
gonna
Here comes the politicking. You can hear it.
If I don't, I mean, hey,
Uh?
don't worry about me.
See, Matt?
If you leave
See-
Lurking Tie alone, bro, just don't worry about me.
Hey, you forget about the lurking tie? Don't worry about me. It's as simple as that. Don't worry about me, man. You leave my lurking tie alone, we're good. Nothing to worry about.
I'm gonna do some cool stuff, man.
I'm going to do some cool stuff. I'm going to do some cool stuff. That's what I said.
All right, then all right, I bypass this. I'll go straight to your base.
Okay.
So he takes it to my base,
Oh, that's bad if that's fine.
which, you know what? Like, respect. And so now I have to do.
Folks, how about a devotion on the Lurking Tie?
Now I got to throw devotion on the lurking tie, with it being alone. So now the lurking tie swings in for 6, right? Because it's got 1/1 from devotion, it's got raid 2, and it's got the +1 from Saxon. So lurking tie swings in for 6 and restores 2 now.
We saw a little moment there, so I wouldn't count on that too much.
So this is just fun. This is all good fun. Really enjoy this format. Especially like it was nice to just play this in the middle of like the Showdown PQ season. We're like all preparing for, you know, competitive stuff, and to just kind of like, you know, play more casually and enjoy this 4-player format it was nice. I needed it for sure. So Krennic comes out for Ryan,
Oh my!
and he's gonna fell my Scout Bike Pursuer.
That's the final straw, Mike.
That's the final straw, Mike. He's played removal on 3 of my units. He played removal on my Cell Block Guard. He swung into my Vanguard. Mike's.
I cannot believe you.
I can't let that slide. I just can't let that
Cell
slide.
block guard. Now it's my Scout Bike Pursuer.
I had that option too, but I wasn't
But
gonna do it.
you're a reasonable man.
See, it's all about the politics in this game, man. It's all about the politics. So Matt's got a decision to make with what he's gonna do.
You got a bunch.
He is sitting nice with all that damage not going to his base with that big Obi-Wan Sentinel. And he's got untapped resources. Matt is definitely a problem here. A problem that I have just kind of made a truce with him ignoring my lurking tie. He'll kind of slow play a little bit. Looks like he wants to swing Yularen, get a little restore going. And you already know what's going to happen. Lurking Tie is going straight to Mike's face. I can't let that slide.
6. My bad. 2, 4, 5, 6. To your base.
Yeah, right there. Right there. Point that finger, bro. You cannot let that slide.
That's worse than the Scout Bike Pursuer was gonna do to you.
yeah. Scout Bike Pursuer was not going to hit that hard. But now he's paid the price. Now he's at 23 damage on base. So he's paid his dues for playing all that removal against me. Ryan's making decisions here. Got a healthy Krennic up there. You could flip GI and have him on the board at the same time.
Have Sentinel.
Can't swing at Matt. Reminding us about that big 8 health Sentinel with Yularen out on there. Very strong board for Matt. I know I've said that a couple times, but that's solid. Both of his leaders got something bump the health on him. Plays the Star Viper.
I don't like that.
3/3 with potential restore if he's got the initiative. He's waiting to find something better to swing Krennic into. Mike, on the other hand, is trying to decide if he wants to flip his Krennic. And there he goes. Out comes Krennic. And now Matt's got a decision to make. I'm most likely, with my board state, once the action gets to me, makes the most sense for Gar to come out before Tarkin swings, so I can give him a little boost. So much more decisions to make in this format too. With 3 other opponents,
Yeah.
he decides to put the pressure onto Mike and put him up to, he was at 23, so I think he's going to 27 now.
I'll ping your.
So now we've got a threat of the game ending right here. Now, obviously, he's got Krennic out there. He's got some restore to do.
Flip guard.
Out comes Gar Saxon. Ryan's got 3 resources up. Still has the GI ready to flip. He's got Krennic out there.
Yeah, I'll do 2 to Obi-Wan.
Puts 2 into Obi-Wan. Respectfully. Gets some restore going. So now once we start creeping into this late game, everyone, let's restore, let's back it up, let's try and that's how you take the lead, is you start restoring and pulling damage off your base. Mike has to swing Krennic somewhere, has to restore too, so brings him down to 25, which I am in a position to take out. I'm at 17, which would not. Ryan's at 15 and Matt's at 14, so there's no incentive for me to end the game right now. One thing you will see in Twin Suns is a lot of the end game, like, it kind of puts somebody in a position to choose someone else besides themselves to win the game. Where, like, it's your action. There's 2 guys that don't have as much damage on base as you do. If you swing into one, the other guy's going to win. If you swing into the other, vice versa.
For the sake of
So-
balancing. This is kind of a waste of a card.
So
But
Obi-Wan's got to go. Because Matt is putting more pressure
6
into
damage to Obi-Wan.
Mike's base. Can't let that fly. We've got to start putting pressure on Matt's base. So maximum firepower comes down and takes it out.
No, you're trying to run away with it.
Right.
Ryan's trying to figure out how he wants to play GI. If he wants to ready the Viper.
He slammed you with the 6.
If he wants to just flip GI and start readying up Krennic. He'll go ahead and just flip GI. And Mike, I think, is going to follow suit here. Looks like he's all spent out with his resources. Let's see. There he goes. Out comes GI. Matt's got all of his resources up still. Hasn't played a card yet. Matt was definitely trying to pull away with that game. If he was able to do lethal onto Mike's base. Out comes the Walker.
Yeah.
Cheating it out for 7. Big swing. Big swing. And he's
All right. So I think we all know it has to be.
dumping Rican to heal. So now Matt's all the way down to 11. He's definitely a threat.
How much damage did you do to Obi?
Like 6.
Okay,
Yeah.
just he had the
Yeah,
plus.
yeah.
I was making sure it wasn't.
Making sure we had
That's why I
enough
was like, it's
damage
not
on
waste,
firepower,
it's
but we
just
definitely
go,
did.
but,
Can you give the experience to him himself?
No.
So you're doing 2 damage.
So throwing 2 back into Matt. Got to even up the playing field here. And now Saxon's going to get the boof. So Saxon now is 6'8", which is, it's nice, GI swings in. Krennic comes up.
Same thing.
And Mike's going to do the same thing. GI comes in. Krennic comes up. Matt claims initiative. I've got Saxon left to swing. I believe I'm tapped out. Trying to figure out what my best course of action is here. The Walker is a big unit, but I do not feel like trading into it.
He can swing into him with Krennic and win. He's at the lowest. And you only have
Yeah, Matt pointing out that Ryan, with Matt claiming initiative, Ryan could, in theory, win the game. So we'll swing into Krennic. Or no, swing in a base so that he can't just heal out and win. Which, I mean, I guess technically he could. He's got 3 resources up if he's got something up his sleeve, but yeah, definitely didn't want Ryan ending the game there. Tough decisions to make. And everything has a domino effect at this stage of the game. By me doing that, it makes Ryan change his action, which then will influence Mike to change his. Which, I mean, I guess that's just kind of how TCGs go anyway. But especially in late game, like your decision branches split off very, very diverse. I don't know what else. They split off. All right, it's a big deal. Okay. So Matt has a chance with initiative. He doesn't really have incentive to go for the win here because now he is at 22. So he would have to find some way to heal off some damage to get underneath Ryan and I. So I made sure to take Blast. Blast. I mean, you can. There have times with Twin Suns where I have won the game off of Blast because both my opponents were at 1 away from lethal, and I just claimed Blast and ended the game. So that token becomes very important in endgame once we start, trying to do math. And so now you can see like how important Sentinels are. Once we start threatening each other with lethal damage, Sentinels completely change the game. Well-timed Sentinels.
One of them I got in a box like this, and the other one I don't remember.
Chatting it up with a couple guys that had come to learn the game, and I think we're about ready to go to phase here. Ryan's figuring out what we're doing here. Brings in the Snow Trooper. Now it's just Mike and Ryan taking actions here.
I don't think so.
No.
Might as well do something here.
And he'll go ahead and take the plan.
Is that in phase?
Yeah.
Have anything else to do?
Making sure we have no actions left, and now we are going to regroup. Big top deck there with the AT suppressor, exhaust all ground units on play. So very interesting. Very interesting play here. I've also got the phase 3 Dark Trooper, which is big time. Sentinel could potentially save me. The suppressor could, because I think right now I'm at lowest damage. So, and I've got a, devotion lurking tie going on right there. So, definitely two very important cards in my hand right now that can affect how the game plays out.
You got initiative, right?
Matt's got initiative with a chance to end the game.
Yeah, there is no good decision. There's no good decision.
Everything starts to change here. Now, what you may have already noticed is that I actually have lethal damage on Matt unless he swings in the walker. So,
He's got the lowest right now, Isaac.
you know, I may feel inclined to eliminate Matt right here and start the counter, because I've also got a big leader unit to throw damage around. And I've also got that lurking tie going on, which, you know, could easily get shut down by this Star Viper.
You certainly did not.
And the Aether Sprite comes down for lurking tie.
And I guess I might as well. No, I'm not going to do that because then you get a boast of power.
So he decides not to swing in the walker and protect himself a little bit. I'm still at lowest damage. Do I make the big swing? Drum roll. I'm not going to actually do a drum roll. Drum roll. What will I do? Do I do the Sentinel? Do I protect my board? I mean, there's a space unit. There's one ready space unit that has implications on my base damage. What do we do?
That was 4. 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm. Getting our damage right. Big decisions. That's what happens late game. It all comes down to the domino effect.
I'm gonna put 6 into your Grand Inquisitor.
And I take out the Inquisitor. Rather than taking out Matt.
Ooh.
Walker just got felled. So that changes the math dramatically. And now Mike's going to play repair. Bring him down to 25, I believe, right? 24. Matt's got a couple plays. Open pool of resources. So in a phase where the game like easily could have ended, now it's starting to look like we will go to another phase because of all the healing. So now my suppressor doesn't really have much impact this phase. My Dark Trooper, I mean, would be a little, you know, would definitely be important, but wouldn't be as effective as, you know, waiting for next phase potentially. Which leaves me thinking that my best way to go is playing 5 for Gideon right now. Which you know, is liable to get this Tarkin upgrade if Ryan doesn't swing into Tarkin, but well, even if he does, I guess no, he'll survive the Tarkin. So he's definitely eyeballing that right now. I believe that is what he does, if I'm not mistaken.
Remaining, yes.
Big Space Sentinel going on for Matt, which, you know, not a whole lot of space action going on here, but it's also just a big, I mean, it swings in for 3, so. So the Snow Trooper, oh, he's playing outflank, so swings base in for 3 and takes out Tarkin. So big hit to my board. Outflank is a pretty good card in Twin Suns also because you can also, you know, in one action direct damage in multiple directions. So instead of just attacking me with 2 things at once, he can swing one thing into me and one thing into someone else, which you know, could even be like a game-winning play where in one action you swing lethal damage multiple times. And reminding him that the Snowtrooper will stay alive, which is nice for him. Keep Gideon from getting an upgrade. Now Mike comes down with the big Sentinel. There's no damaged units of his to give experience to, but we're starting to hunker down here. Starting to get the big Sentinels out. Trying to protect ourselves into late game. Starts becoming much more of like a standoff where, like, if one person's Sentinel gets removed, now we're all going to, you know, like jump on it.
You could have restore. Oh, you already attacked?
I played an outflank and attack with 2 units.
Oh,
3 to his base, and then I took out target.
Outflank. Yeah, I love outflank. Go to your base. For 2.
Puts 2 into Ryan's base. Gets a restore 1. So now those 2 are knotted up in damage. And I still have a 2 damage advantage. 2 damage advantage. That's a nice little phrase. I do not have anything to do left in this phase. My leader's gone. I don't think I have any 1-cost plays. Yeah, or 2-cost plays even. So
Trying to figure out like who.
So for me, I'm just deciding what token I want to claim.
Claim initiative.
So I'll take initiative to make sure I've got, in case I want to play this suppressor first thing, just kind of shock the board and bog everybody down. You know, I'm feeling pretty safe from claiming blast because, I mean, even if Mike and Matt swing both 6 damage into me, I'm still not like really like bad off. I do at this point have the smallest board alongside with Mike.
Take the Viper probe out.
Mike's trying to figure out where he wants to swing Inquisitor.
Go into a base.
Ready up that
You gotta
Sentinel.
start tying people up to your.
I don't think I can.
Oh yeah, it's 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big plays, man. Every action you take at this stage in the game feels like it's drastically changing the outcome of the game. Changes the math, all of it. It's pretty wild.
Gideon's gonna
Gideon
have
gets
XP.
XP boost.
So GI takes out the Snowtrooper and Gideon gets his XP. So now he becomes a 7/6. That's why Gideon is so sweet in this format, because it can trigger so many times. It's definitely a big target for removal. The other players do not want to see it get there, but it's fun when it does. Where does Han want to swing into? That big Sentinel is definitely concerning everybody, especially because Mike is the closest for lethal base damage, and Matt is going to plan to make sure he gets the cards that he wants going into this decisive phase. And now we're going to regroup. Top deck is Piet and Search Your Feelings, which is crap and a little bit more crap. Nothing good for us there. So for me, you know, that Dark Trooper is huge, but also that suppressor can be game changing. I've got a 1 damage lead on Ryan right here. He does not have initiative, so the Viper is not going to heal at all for him.
All right. Kill Matt.
Gideon swings into Matt. And now the timer has started. So this will be the final phase of the game.
Timer has begun.
Timer has begun.
Yeah.
And I immediately heal 5 damage off my base, unless there was some sort of restriction, which there is not. So now I go down to 16 damage on base. Puts me in a great position to win the game.
No, you,
I killed him.
that's
Gideon.
what I was saying.
killed him,
You,
killed
you,
him.
I,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
we shouldn't have killed the units last round. That's what I was saying. He could one shot.
Yeah, Matt was saying, Matt had it all together.
It doesn't really
You know.
matter. I think he's still
So now Ryan's got to figure out how he's going to work. I mean, he can do 6 damage to me, which would put me at. Oh, down comes the Snoke.
Math a little bit.
Oh, you should have. I was gonna say you could.
What? Oh yeah, it's enemies.
If you didn't play Snoke, he could hit him for a bunch.
Maybe he takes the Snoke back so that they can do damage to me. Maybe rethinking that action. I become the main target at this point. So now he drops the Walker. And he'll ditch that to heal 3 damage off his base. So that does put him close. That definitely narrows that gap. And now he's only 3 damage away from taking me out. So Mike's got some decisions to make here. He's at 25. I could take out Mike with my next action. Well, no, I couldn't because of the Sentinel. I could not take out Mike. None of us can. So he does feel a little protected here. He's going to vanquish. No, he cannot. Saxon's a leader. He may trade the Sentinel in. He's got perilous position. What does he want to do? To try and...
Yeah, because you can't get ahead, so you're deciding who.
Deciding which of us.
So this is what I'm talking about. Now Mike's pretty much deciding,
Or you just take somebody.
like he's got no way to restore.
Take somebody else out.
So he kind of is deciding, and he doesn't have, at the moment, lethal damage on anybody. So he's kind of in a position where he's deciding who wins the game besides him.
I would die if I took out Saxon.
They would trade, yeah.
It would be a trade with Saxon if he wants to swing into him.
Yeah, okay, I'll take him out.
And he goes ahead and does it. So it does take away my ability to kind of inflict some more punishment. So now I've got a decision to make here. I can either play the Sentinel or I can exhaust all ground units with the suppressor. Either way, it looks like I'm going to be taking 3 damage from the Viper, but I can prevent 6 damage from the Viper probe droid and the Grand Inquisitor. So boom. Comes down, taps down the game. Oh, forgot to give myself the experience from the Sentinel trading into Saxon. Not that it matters at this point, but... So now Ryan swings into me for 3. And now
Technically, could still do this, actually.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, you could ready that.
Ryan can ready the Viper to swing into me and put himself in the lead. But Mike
Unless Mike has a way to take that out.
Yeah.
and Mike brings out the Vanquish to take care of the Viper.
Yeah.
Forcing the end.
And we end the game in a draw,
Yeah.
I believe, right?
That's all I
I'm
got.
pretty sure that's how this ended.
Yeah, that reinforcement walker kept you.
Ends things in a draw. So Ryan, switching from Snoke to Walker, ended up keeping him from losing at least. Ryan and I draw thanks to Mike's Vanquish. But yeah, this Twin Suns is so fun, guys. Definitely take a chance to play this format if you can. Find a group, make a deck. Keep in mind the deck size once Lightspeed comes out, it's going to 80 minimum, so keep that in mind. Definitely going to be playing more Twin Suns with the guys and putting together some more nasty leader combo decks, see what's out there. Well, thanks for sticking around and checking this out. And, as always, see you guys in the next one.